This is Off Track.
Hello and welcome.
Welcome to Off Track.
To another
with Hinch and
episode
Rossi.
of Off
And
Track
if
with
you're-
Hinch and Rossi.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
What? Yes.
This is a disaster already.
Why? It was working. Okay, now we're back. Hello and welcome. to
Hello
Off
and
Track
welcome
with
to
Hinch and
another
Rossi.
episode of Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Wait, can you hear me?
What is happening?
Oh man. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should be. And if you are watching on YouTube, you might notice, wait, Tim, when people watch on YouTube, can they see the names that are on the screen?
No.
No.
That's unfortunate because
Alex-
I've had some bangers.
You have
You would
some
not
pretty
still
good
have.
ones.
If they could see the names you've chosen, you would not have a ride.
That's fair.
That's actually a pretty valid
Yeah.
point.
So, Alex, are you ready to be pretty annoyed? Do you know what James and I are going to go do right after this?
What are you going to go do
Oh.
right now? Oh, have shabu?
Din Tai Fung.
Better.
Oh, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm excited. James, have you had it yet?
Not at the store, not at the restaurant. I've only had it
Oh,
with
okay.
you, I think, at your house. Yeah.
Oh, so not the real. Oh, I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am jealous of that.
I'm excited too.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just down the street from where I am in LA, because I'm in LA. You were just in LA. Tim lives
I was
in
just
LA.
in LA. We were ships in the night, all three of us.
We were. We were.
I was
Well,
in
I mean,
and out.
Tim and I saw each other, but
Right.
how
Right.
how was your LA experience? What did you? What
So
were you
my
here for?
LA
What did you get up to?
experience was great. So here's the thing. I unfortunately flew out Sunday afternoon, right when the Super Bowl started, which was sad because I didn't get to hang out with my friends and watch the Super Bowl. But it was
missed you.
equally pretty. Thanks. It was equally pretty, nice because I was on the plane. I had my full attention was solely on watching the game. I got a little meal. I had a little drink, and I was just in my little corner and just sat there. And the 4.5 hour flight to LA evaporated because that was the length of the time of the Super Bowl. And it was really nice. So, I mean, it wasn't the worst scenario. I mean, the buffering at times was a little bit annoying, but the game was such a blowout. I don't think I missed anything important.
No, you did not.
I saw all of the IndyCar commercials, which was
Amazing.
incredible because I remember 2 weeks ago on this show, we were talking about, we hope Patos is going to be on there. No, they were all there. And yeah, it was good. So then I arrived Sunday night. I met someone who's going to be working with me a little bit off track with all of ECR actually, from a sports psychology standpoint, all day Monday.
Very cool.
And then flew out first thing Tuesday morning and back to Indy. So it was a very short in and out trip, but very efficient.
I love that you guys are working with a sports psychologist. I've always been a big proponent of that. I worked with one early in my career and then a little bit again later in my career. Have you worked with one before? Did you have one when you were coming up?
So I worked with one in Europe for a good 2 years. And it's interesting. It's very similar. I mean, I'm taking the words out of, this guy's mouth, but he was like, it's very similar to muscle atrophy in the gym. You know how to do a bench press, a squat, a movement, right? A lunge. But if you're not in practice, your performance is going to be significantly worse than if you've been doing it a couple times a week for months, right? And it's the same thing with your mind. Yes, you know the skills that are required to make a step forward from the mental side of things, but if you're not actually practicing, it's a degrading skill and you're losing, the accuracy and the benefit of it. So it was really cool. This guy has worked with, a variety of athletes. He was an athlete himself in the extreme sports world. He actually, was super competitive and then, reached a plateau in his career and realized that, some of the plateau is coming from the mind side of things. And so he went and got his PhD in psychology and learned the ins and outs of it and now works exclusively with athletes and C-suite executives, and is very hard to come by. And he worked with the Seahawks for almost a decade during their success with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch. He worked with the Bills this past year. He's worked with a bunch of Olympians on the U.S. and Canadian side. So it's cool. I was expecting, going out there to kind of be with a older gentleman in like a crusty living room, sort of like a dusty living room. And it smelled
Was that
like
your
mothballs,
experience
right?
with your original coach?
A little bit,
in Europe?
yeah. Who was great? He was very good, but
Sort of wondering
that was
why that was what you defaulted to.
right. That was kind of what I was thinking.
Right.
And it was like a younger dude in a studio space in Los Angeles that had a bar and a shuffleboard. It was a very cool experience that, the 10 hours that we were together, the four of us, me, Ed, Christian, and this guy, it flew by. So it was a really cool experience. Learned a lot. Very happy that we all went, and looking forward to applying some of the stuff that we learned.
I love the fact that it's common practice now for executives to have psychologists work. I don't know if you'd call them performance coaches or sports. Sports, that's not sports, but it's the fact that when you're running a big company and you have all that pressure and you have to make critical decisions, and whoever the first one to think of you know what, I'm going to have this guy sit with a sports psychologist and and figure out how to be a better CEO. That's awesome to me. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, life and society now is all performance based. It doesn't matter if you're a quarterback or an executive or a salesperson, right? It's all numbers driven, and your future is dependent on your performance, which is a problem. But that's the world that we live in. So you have to learn how to exist and maximize yourself in that environment. So it's all very interesting.
Did you get commercials when you were watching
I
up
did.
at 30,000 feet?
Sure did.
See, that's one of the benefits, I think, of your setup there was you were just you had to just watch everything. You had nothing else to distract you. I watched almost no commercials, and I
that's
really
disappointing.
I really regret it. What was good?
There was 3 bangers in my mind. And you can find them. I mean, what's weird is they debuted a lot of them on YouTube before the game, but
they were
the Budweiser,
a Joseph Newgarden commercial, a Paddle Award commercial, an Alex Bowl commercial.
Budweiser commercial slaps. They always slap because the Clydesdales.
Was that with
the baby horse?
Oh no, okay, sorry. I was thinking there was the Bud Light one with Shane Gillis.
Bud Light one.
Yeah,
Shane
I did
Gillis,
see that one.
Peyton Manning,
I just love Shane Gillis. Yeah, that was hilarious.
And then I loved the Jeep one with Harrison Ford.
Okay, I didn't see that.
I thought the Jeep one was my favorite.
Yeah,
I thought
it was really good.
Those were my top 3.
Tim,
are you allowed to like a Jeep one?
Yeah, that's fine. I thought the Stella one with David Beckham was also very good. It was funny, but for me, Super Bowl commercials, you want to tug on some emotional strings. That's why I think Budweiser always does such a good job, because everyone loves Clydesdales and horses and that sort of thing, and they always have some tribute to something. The Jeep one really tugged on your happy side, your sad side.
Was it?
Yes.
Was the Jeep one? Because I just looked it up. I haven't watched it, but it's a 2-minute clip. Is that an extended cut, or did they show a 2-minute clip?
No, I think it was a minute and 40.
Dude, do you know what a 30-second spot on the Super Bowl?
$8 million.
$8 million.
Mm-hmm.
$8 million. And IndyCar had 3 45-second spots.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm
not just trying to pump up my employer here, but Fox dropped a $30 million investment essentially into Super Bowl commercials for IndyCar. That's insane. That's incredible.
It's unheard of. I didn't even think that it could be possible that we would get one. So.
Dude, I don't know if there's been any IndyCar adjacent commercials since Danica stopped racing IndyCar, right? When she was in the GoDaddy commercials, she's been in 10 or 12 Super Bowl commercials. She's one of the highest or like most frequent athletes in Super Bowl commercials. And I don't think ever actually had an IndyCar in them, but at least it was an IndyCar driver and whatever. But like to have those three play on what was the single largest sporting event viewership in history. 127.7 million people watched the Super Bowl.
It's a shame it was such a game.
I know. Imagine if it was a good game.
Yeah. All right. Before we don't really need to talk about the game. I want everyone's opinion on the halftime show because that's equally as important as the commercial.
It is. I again was sort of distracted. We were just hanging out in Brian's basement and like I wasn't
just bros
paying enough
being
attention.
Bros.
Just dudes being guys, just buds being bros.
Yeah.
And
everyone was there except me and Bob.
Except you. Yeah, Bob said he was going to come up. Like normally Bob leaves early. This time he just didn't even show up.
Has
so tell
two
me,
kids and all of a sudden.
Yeah. So he's got priorities or whatever.
Wow.
How was the halftime show?
Listen, I'm not a huge rap listener.
Okay.
I am also not super in tune with all of the rap like battles with like the enemies
like
and the fighting.
Kendrick thing or something.
So there was a lot of subliminal messaging based on what I saw on social media that I didn't catch during the performance. Right. I didn't understand, like Serena Williams was there and I was like, why is she there? And then it came, like I found out that's Drake's ex. And I was like, oh, that's a big,
that's a weird flex.
That makes sense why he did that. And it's amazing that she was also on board with that. I thought it was marginally entertaining. I didn't think it was amazing. Like I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
But again, that's not my music. So I don't really know what I was listening to.
In the little bits that I kind of caught, it seemed to not have like the massive
There's no wow
sort of
factor,
over the top production that you were like kind of come to be used to with Super Bowl halftime shows.
For sure. Like it was cool that he was like, you knew he was singing, rapping, talking, whatever you want to call it. So he put the effort into the performance, which was great. I know the song that he does with SZA. I'm going to really age myself. I don't know if you're supposed to call her SZA or whatever, but like I knew that song, that she was cool. But like, knowing that they were having a spat with Drake and then the fact that he pulled up his ex to dance on stage during the Super Bowl with him was a wild move.
All right. I also would not have caught any of that. So hey, that's again, it's a lot of people watching you play that card. So I guess good on you. All right, so that was Super Bowl. That's why you were out in LA. I was out here doing that, like a bunch of Fox meetings.
So how did your test go?
So it was cool, man. So
and what race did you choose?
Well, so we didn't get to choose. It was all decided for us. We got different races. So it was actually really well done. It was really well kind of put together and
seems to be a theme with Fox.
So far, it seems to be the running theme. So we get there yesterday morning, hellos and intros. We're meeting a lot of the team for the first time, like a lot of the people that are going to be traveling and everything to all the IndyCar races. The excitement level in the building is through the roof, man. Like everybody is jazzed. And we started the day off with our rehearsal. So they put us in like a little mock booth, which we learned is the exact same room that Tom Brady spent a lot of time in doing his reps before he did his first broadcast. So they did the same kind of thing with Brady.
Probably should have done more. He's so much better now, but when he started, it was tough.
Yeah,
and
I heard the first
Tom
couple
fan.
weren't great. Yeah, fair. And so they didn't tell us which races we were doing, and it started off with St. Pete last year, and it was like 5 minutes before the green flag. Like, so let's say like cars rolling 5 minutes before, so it was a little bit of setup, and then it was the start of the race, the first stint, whatever. And it's just tape, so we don't have any control over cuts or edits or replays or whatever, right? You're just going with whatever was happening, and we don't have like pit reporters or anything like that. So it's a little bit. It was almost harder.
It's harder,
than the real thing. And it was great. I mean, like, it started off, there was obvious things we needed to work on, just getting the chemistry right between the three of us, timing on certain things. But so we kind of get through that. Like, every commercial break in the show, they'd come on, Eric Shanks and Jacob Ullman would come into the booth. They'd give us some pointers and like some things to work on, whatever. Then we go back to the next segment. So we did that for half an hour. And then, so that was the start of a race. Then they wanted us to call the end of a race. So we did the last like 40 laps of Indy, which was awesome. Like, that race last year was, dude, it was so good. Like, it was, and it was so good. I knew what happened, and I was like, I was screaming for you, I was like, come on, buddy, you got it. And
I did not have it.
You did not have it. You did not have it. But it was, I was waiting for you to get Pato out of 4. Like, that was, I know that did not happen. We just tried to not die out of 4. But even though what happens, like, it's just such an exciting thing to call, and like, Will really hit his stride, I think, during that segment. Like, he did a really, really good job. He hasn't done play-by-play in like 10, 12 years, whatever it's been.
Sure.
But the rhythm was really good. Everybody was bouncing off each other really good. So that was great. And then they chucked us into the middle of Laguna. So middle of the race, where there was alternate strategies happening, not a ton of on-track stuff, so that we could work on like telling more stories and like setting things up and like how do we kind of navigate that situation. So it was really well thought out by the producer and the director and the high ups at Fox on what they wanted us to see and what they wanted us to experience. And honestly, man, it went really well. Like, I think everybody feels a lot better. Not that anybody was worried, but like, just having done that is such a relief.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
We'll get to work on it all in the practices on St. Pete weekend, and by race day, I think it's gonna be really, really cool. We got to see all the graphics, the whole new graphics package. I probably am not allowed to say anything because they've been super tight-lipped about everything that they've done so far, and like the fact we're only just seeing these things. All I can say is great, man. It's awesome. There's some really cool stuff. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff coming. So I'm excited for that.
Goodness. Like, this is like the most excited I think I've been, and everyone has been, about, some positivity about the direction and the future of our series. Now, this is what I want to caution everybody against, and also remind everyone of, is the fact that this is all phenomenal. Fox is like doing things that we never thought were possible, but it's still critical that the series has to do their job, right? This 100%. This is not Fox is going to come in and solve all of our problems, right? That's not how this works. Fox is now a partner that we can finally leverage and use, and believes, and not that NBC didn't, but they have the resources and capacity to leverage our series and do things that NBC maybe didn't, right? But like, we have to give them something that's worthwhile to leverage and to use, and it's going to take all of us still, and there needs to be a huge like motivation from every driver, every team, the series, that like, okay, they're doing this, right? They've raised their game, we have to also match it, right? 100%. And it's not a golden horseshoe. So it's great, it's exciting, but still a lot of work ahead, I think, for everyone. And on that note, some big IndyCar changes.
Some big IndyCar changes that I'm not sure. I mean, I certainly didn't see coming with 20 days to go before the first race.
Well, here's the weird thing, and it's been talked about in a couple media sites since the news came out. If you missed it, which I'm sure you didn't, Jay Fry is gone. Doug Bowles is now the president of IndyCar, as well as IMS, and a lot of other promotions within the organization, both at IndyCar and at IMS. But the big one is obviously Doug taking over from Jay on the IndyCar side of things. There was rumblings and rumors kind of at the end of the year last year, but then nothing ever happened. So I think everyone thought whatever issues there was or potential issues were resolved and things were just status quo. And, we had worked with Jay all off season in the driver and team manager meetings and, making adjustments and changes for 2025 as we usually do. So 20 days before the first race is it is a bit of a surprise. And I don't know if that was planned or not. What my opinion of this all is, forget the timing. I love Doug. I think Doug as an individual, as a spokesperson, especially now with this partnership that we've talked about with Fox, as a representative of IndyCar, is phenomenal. As someone who has been involved in running a race team in the past and being able to relate to the struggles that IndyCar team owners / drivers have. His knowledge of what the fans want to see and what the fans are looking for. I think Doug is a phenomenal guy. It's an incredible task he has in front of him to kind of do both, because I think what he's done for the 500 and the Speedway is amazing. And you don't want to lose any of that, obviously, with his new responsibilities. But I'm thrilled for Doug. I'm excited for him. We've obviously had him on the show. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But
yeah, I mean, times two. I think monumental undertaking for one person to be doing all that at the same time. He's been such a good steward of the Speedway, and he has helped Penske Entertainment with their vision, growing that race and everything. That it's a pretty well-oiled machine, right, in a lot of ways. So it probably does give him the freedom to kind of look at the IndyCar series more as a whole. And look, at the end of the day, like you just said, Alex, Fox is doing their thing. That's cool. IndyCar needs to still do their thing, and they've been getting better. But we all talk about how Doug's one of the best promoters in sports.
Yes.
We need to promote the series. That's what we've been saying for 5 years, 10 years, is we need to promote IndyCar better. So why don't we tap the strongest promoter that we have to do the job? And, Jay obviously, Jay did some incredible things in his time, and, he helped pioneer a lot of the things that we do today, a lot of the stuff that's on the car. There's a lot of good things that came out of his tenure. Obviously, his side was kind of more on the technical side. I don't really think that he was super involved on the commercial side as much, or the promotion side of IndyCar. So with Doug stepping into that role, remember that Doug was a team manager of an IndyCar team before he was in the track promotion side of things. Yep. So he understands the sport from the team side. He obviously now understands it from the track side. And, I think one of the big goals of IndyCar is to have IMS and IndyCar as a series, which are two separate entities and two separate companies, but they are intrinsically linked, right? You cannot have one without the other. And I do think that for
someone tried that once.
Fair. Did not end well.
Yeah.
But I think for too long, there's maybe been too big of a barrier, and maybe not as much, not to use catchy business words, but not enough synergy between
collaboration,
the two companies. Yeah. Collaboration. And so now, by having one person at the helm of sort of both, I think there can be a lot of strengths pulled from each other to help both.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it makes sense with the fact that, Penske Corp is what they are as an organization, right? Roger is someone that I've seen who has leaders in place that he trusts, and those leaders oversee a lot. And this is a good segue into some other big racing news that came out last week with Tim Cindric, right? Tim Cindric was the president of Team Penske, and that meant that he was all things Penske Motorsports, which is a lot of different things. I mean, that's V8 supercars in Australia, that's IMSA, NASCAR, IndyCar, obviously. WEC. So WEC, a big undertaking. And ultimately, Tim decided that, for himself and his family or whatever he envisioned his personal life, professional life, future to be, like he wanted to take a small step back from that and just focus on the IndyCar side of things. He's an Indiana guy. He's an IndyCar guy first and foremost, and obviously rose through the ranks of Team Penske and earned Roger's trust to run the whole thing. But my point by saying that is, Doug has obviously proven himself with everything that we've said he's done for the Speedway. So it makes sense that someone like Roger would want to have him be involved in the series, which we know needs help. We know needs that extra little bit of oomph to take the next step forward. It's a critical time with Fox, a critical time with a new car coming in 2027. So this is a very Penske Corp thing to do, to put someone in charge of the two most important elements of what he owns.
100%. No,
I think what happened. I think what maybe happened was somebody read those articles that come out like every May about how busy Doug is. It was like, should we make it harder for him? Like, this guy doesn't work enough.
Well, the good news is in May everyone's together. IndyCar and IMS is all one, so it's kind of fine. I think it's exciting. It's a lot of people, and with that move, a lot of other people internally were promoted to new roles and given more power and that's or more responsibility. And
we have a CMO now after 4 years. Who would have thought?
We do. Congratulations to Alex Damron on that position. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of people internally got promotions. Mark Sibla, Alexis Hurley, Kate Davis. I'm sure there's others. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a big change. It's a big change in the company. It's exciting. But again, I do want to throw out a big thanks to Jay for his time. I mean, he was very instrumental in really opening that line of communication with the drivers, and even back when I was still doing it, I mean, those meetings, he would sit down, he would listen to all of us, we would give him feedback every week, and we would talk about it at the end of the season. And a lot of the changes that have come out of those are very positive, and a lot of that might not have happened without him. So on top of all the other stuff, just from the driver's perspective, he was a huge asset. Yeah,
whether you agree or disagree with some of the decisions that were made, you can't help but have 100% appreciation and respect for him taking everyone's opinion into consideration without question. Yeah. So, a huge influence in the sport. But now, guys, we are like 4 days away from IndyCars being on a racetrack.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty exciting. I'm sad I'm not going to be there. I have no reason to be there, but I miss racing so much.
You were literally just in Daytona.
I know, and I was, I don't know, I was doing it. I wasn't watching it, but I
feel like doing it's more fun. Well, you watched most of it.
Yeah. I did watch more than half. That is true.
I think you watched more than you did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Sorry.
That's a great point.
Sorry. Yeah.
But no, it's I need more. I mean, IndyCars are on track in a few days. We have the Daytona 500 coming up this weekend. So yeah, actually, you know what? We'll talk about Sebring next week because you have done it. Obviously, you're excited to get in it. We know.
I'm so excited. Thank God.
We want to know what's happened. So let's shelve that for now. I do want to talk about the Daytona 500 quickly because
that sport that only got 2 4-second Super Bowl commercials. Kidding. Still way bigger than us.
I was gonna say, don't start trying to take on that fight, man. That's a losing battle right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully not forever, but for now. No. So Elio Castroneves is doing the Daytona 500, which is very cool.
Well, he's trying.
No, he's got a guaranteed spot.
Oh, he does. I didn't know that. Okay,
that's
news to me.
Which is what I wanted to talk about. So, NASCAR have this provisional for the 41st entry. If it is somebody that brings some sort of significance to the event, they will give them a guaranteed 41st spot. So I'm pretty sure I've got that right. I don't think it takes away a spot. I think they just kind of add one. It's like if we had a 34th car at Indy. But I saw this clip, somebody sent it to me online, and it was somebody on, I don't know if it was on Dale Jr.'s podcast or it was a Dirty Mo production of something. And they were talking about, they're like, no, this is kind of bullshit. This is our Super Bowl. We spent a lot of time and money and effort and put our hearts and souls into this race. And this car and team and driver get to show up having put in nothing and get a guaranteed spot. because if there are more than 40 cars showing up, right? Let's say more than 41. Some people are going home, whether or not they're faster than Elio's car. They're going home, and they've put in, this is their once in a year chance to go racing. Like we talk about the people that come and just do the one off in May and whatever. And so these guys were sounding off that they didn't think it was fair that a provisional gets done just based on like being able to bring some more eyeballs to the race. And I was wondering what your take on that is.
I don't know that I have a take.
Because
I don't have an opinion. Right? I don't have an opinion. Because I understand both sides.
Well, exactly.
And I don't think I would have a problem with the 34th car if you're not preventing someone from getting in, right?
Well, let's say 38 cars show up, and the guy or girl that was the 34th fastest doesn't get to start, but the car that was the 37th fastest does because it's this provisional. Is that fair?
No. I don't think that's
so
fair.
That's essentially what's happening. And so you can see why the teams are upset. But the guy even said he was like I get it for the fans. It's great for the fans, but he was not pleased with it in a general sense.
Yeah, I get it, but I also get no. I don't think the series should give a advantage to someone for a promotional aspect. I don't think that is fair. I understand why they're doing it, but is it fair from a sporting standpoint? No.
Are you eating canned peaches?
No, I was about to pass out.
But is it canned peaches?
Yeah, I need sugar quickly.
All right. Is that because of your hot Pilates this morning?
First of all, it's not hot.
Oh.
Second of all, I can't talk about the fact that I rode a bike, but I also did that and I haven't eaten yet today. So, and it's 1:30. So anyways, I am fine. James, what did you think about my opinion of your question?
I agree. And here's the kind of the one that I played out in my head was I thought back to I guess it was 2019 when McLaren showed up in that thing with Carlin and Alonso. And look, you cannot argue that Alonso moved the needle for us with that race, right? It brought eyeballs, it brought people, all this stuff, whatever. But like the story of them not making the race and getting bumped by Kyle Kaiser in a part-time JHR program trying to make their first Indy 500, that's the kind of unbelievably cool stuff that happens at the 500, and you would just kill that. You would have killed that story by giving him a provisional for whatever. So I'm with you. Like the sporting stories that come out of these situations and out of these big historic races are enough. Like that's why people tune in. And so I am kind of with you. I do understand the frustration of those other teams that aren't locked into the 500, that this guy that's never done a stock car race, he's never done one. He's done SRX. That's his qualifications, and obviously that's not on Elio. Elio is obviously a very capable racing driver and, deserves to have a shot there, but I get why they're frustrated.
But it's not an automatic thing either. Like it doesn't matter previous success in other forms of racing. We've seen how hard both directions, right? The transition can be. So yes, he's a 4-time Indy 500 winner. He brings a massive amount of experience and success and following to the race, but like that's no guarantee he's going to be any good. So,
and dude, like plate racing is so difficult. Like it's so different. Like there's nothing. I mean, even though he was around in like the IRL Classic days when the pack racing was just insane, you didn't have bumpers. You weren't running into guys. You had a ton of downforce, and these things have zero.
I mean, I am jealous. It looks awesome. Like it looks like
I don't know, man.
Hell of a lot of fun.
I feel like most of the Cup guys I talk to are like, no, plate races suck. Like it's just because you're waiting for the crash for the first 2 hours.
For sure. But that's because they've been burned so many times, and like they've probably had really good results taken away from them through no fault of their own. If you're doing it as a one-off, like that's the one you want to do. Like
anyways. I guess there's something to that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Say la vie.
Tim had asked a question, and we'll close on this, just about, what we're going to try and accomplish at Sebring, why I'm excited. I'm excited for the obvious, get to drive a race car. What you're trying to accomplish, like, it's the same for everyone. It doesn't mean it's not stupid, though. Like, we only get 2 half days in the car before practice 1 at St. Pete. So everyone's going to be at this test Monday, Tuesday. Obviously, for me, it's a new team. The good thing is it's not switching manufacturers. You know, I explained this to you and Will and Jamie and Townsend on Media Day, James. Like, I didn't take into consideration in 2023 how much of an adjustment it would be to go from one manufacturer to the other. So I think that's actually a harder transition than switching teams. So from that standpoint, it's plug and play from the Chevy side. And we've done, quite a bit of sim work. I've known my engineer, Matt, for a really long time. So we have a lot of similar knowledge and past experiences that we have similar opinions that we can draw on together. So I think we're going to be starting from a pretty good spot. But Tim, you're just it's kind of like the first day of school. You're trying to understand each other's, nuances. I'm trying to understand, what this car does well, what it does poorly, and then just getting some sort of reps in with the crew and pit stops, coming into the box, communication with the timing stand. Like, it's just all the things that should be second nature that won't be in the beginning that you're just trying to work through. So that is, that's the goal of Sebring.
You did, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this. You did the Indy test with them, right? So
I did,
you've had
in October.
One day in the car with them so far.
One day in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
So one day in the car, a couple sim days, but like and again, they're trying something new. This format, this 2 half-day format, right? So it used to be like half the field would go on Tuesday and the other half would go on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Now they've done it where half the group does the morning of the first day and the afternoon of the second day, and then the other group does the afternoon of the first day and the morning of the second day. Do you know why? Because logistically, that doesn't really make any sense to me. I'm curious as to what the actual reasoning was.
Because someone who doesn't run a race team made that decision. Yep.
Got it. Cool. All right.
None of us love it, but it is what it is. I think this will be a one and done.
Yeah, same for everyone. Cool. All right. Well, look, man, have fun. I'm excited that you're going to be in the seat, back in action, and let's watch the 500. What are you doing for the 500?
What am I doing for the 500? I will be in Sebring, James.
Oh yeah, because you're on track Monday. Never mind.
Yeah, but enjoy your soup dumplings. Don't burn your mouth. Don't get too excited. Don't eat them too quick. Order the cucumbers as an appetizer. Right. And make sure you follow their ratio of vinegar to soy sauce to spicy chili.
Got it. Done.
Basically, let them make the sauce for you.
Sounds good. Oh, wait. This reminds me. I was going to say, I love just going to a restaurant and sitting down and just following orders, right? Like taking the question mark out of it. So last night we did a dinner with a bunch of the Fox people, and we went to Spago, which I guess is like Wolfgang Puck's first restaurant in here in LA. And so I had this incredible meal. It was awesome. And we're sitting there, and then I feel this hand on my shoulder, and I see a hand on the shoulder of the guy next to me, and this guy starts talking and thanking us for coming, and I turn around and I look up, it's Wolfgang Puck, huge race fan. He was like, "Oh, so I mean, Fox must go there," because he's like, "Oh, he knew Fox people," and he was like, "Oh, it's great that you guys have the IndyCar, and this is like the booth and whatever." And he was like, "Oh, when I moved over from Germany, I lived in Indianapolis for a year." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I lived there for 12 months until I got my green card, and then I left." I'm like, that makes sense.
That must be why, for a period of time, for the longest time, up until like last year, there was a Wolfgang Puck adjacent cafe in the airport. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought that was random.
It was so random. But yeah, and like super, super sweet dude. Big race fan. It was awesome. So that was kind of a cool LA moment.
Go Fox. Spago meals. Wow.
Spago with the boss.
I mean, right, I do love Texas Roadhouse, but yeah.
This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.